Alright, so 19.3, it's a little bit hard to see, but proving lines are parallel. So the essential question just says, how can you prove that two lines are parallel? So there's a little warm-up exercise that we're going to do is, we're going to look at something that we looked at in the last lesson. So two lines that are parallel and a transversal, and I'm going to give you one angle. I'm going to give you this one right here, 115. And I'm going to ask you to fill in the rest. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and fill in all of these angles right here. Okay, go ahead and fill that in for me. You do this on the left-hand side of your notebook. Since this is a warm-up, you should know how to do this. Okay, so you're back with me. You just filled all these in. Just to make sure we're on the same page, I will fill a couple of them in. You should have 115 degrees here. Should have 65 degrees here. Okay, and all of those other ones should be filled in as well. Alright, so to talk about how to prove parallel lines today, we're going to really use this diagram right here in this drawing that we just talked about in the warm-up. So this drawing right here, as I said when I drew it, is two lines that are parallel, right, and a transversal. So two lines that are parallel and a transversal. So some of the theorems that we use, like same side interior angles. Like, let me put 100 degrees right here to make it easy. So let's do alternate exterior angles. Alternate exterior angles. Those tend to be equal. Okay? The only way that those angles are equal is if and only if these two are parallel. Let me say that again. This only works if and only if these two lines are parallel. So, a theorem that could be used to prove parallelism is alternate exterior angles. And remember that those need to be equal. Alright, there's one theorem that would work. Let's try a different one. Okay? Something that I see right now that we could use right away, and that we can always pretty much use right away, is vertical angles. Right? The opposite of this angle is 100. So if we look at just using that vertical angle, it has absolutely nothing to do with this line right here. It only has something to do with one line and the transversal. So it cannot prove that these are parallel because it says nothing about this line. So a theorem that does not prove anything is vertical angles. Doesn't prove anything to me. Alright, let's try a couple other ones. So let's use same side interior angles. Same side interior. Those need to be supplementary or add up to 180. And in order for those to add up to 180, these have to be parallel lines. Because if this line wasn't parallel, that angle would be a lot different. So, another theorem that works to prove parallelism would be same side interior angles. And remember that the same side interior angles aren't equal, but they are supplementary, as in they add up to 180. Okay? Alright, another thing that we could do is we could look at these two angles right here. We could say, well, those need to add up to 180 because they are supplementary, so this needs to be 80 degrees right there. Well, that doesn't say anything about this bottom line. It's just talking about this top line. So it really doesn't prove anything for us. So just simply supplementary angles doesn't prove anything. Okay? It'd have to be one of these theorems. And we have one more. Alright, if we look at, Let's use that 80 degrees right there. This angle, I know that this also should be 80 degrees if and only if these lines are parallel. And the reason that I know those are congruent or equal is because those are corresponding angles, which also would be a theorem that proves parallelism. And remember, for corresponding angles, just as it shows up here, those need to be equal. Okay? Alright. So that's that. These are the theorems that could prove that they're parallel. So let's go through a couple examples figuring out, are the lines parallel or are they not? So I'm going to draw a bunch of these diagrams and we're going to decide whether or not they are parallel or we can't tell. Or that they aren't parallel, maybe. We'll do 4 for right now. 2, 3. We'll do 3. That's all that fits. They're going to all look the exact same. So you can just draw a bunch of these. 2 lines that appear to possibly be parallel and a transversal. Okay, and we're going to be deciding, are they parallel or not? Right? So parallel or not. Okay. So this one right here, number 1, I'm going to give you that this is 65 degrees. This is 130 degrees. And that this is 50 degrees. Okay? For here, I'm going to give you guys that this is 120 and that this is 120. For here, 60 and 60. Okay, so if we look at number 1, these 2 angles should be supplementary, right? They should add up to 180. Well, they do add up to 180, so that's good. That's looking good so far. But if we look, that's a theorem that does not prove anything. It doesn't even say anything about this line. It's just talking about the first one. So this is what we are going to end up saying is inconclusive. We don't know. They could be parallel. They could not. We really don't know. We have no clue. Okay? For number 2 right here, 120 degrees, 120 degrees. Those are alternate exterior angles. Okay? Alternate exterior angles. And they're supposed to be equal. So we're happy with that. So these are parallel. Okay? And the last one, 60 and 60, okay, these are same side interior. Same side interior. They are supposed to be supplementary, which means they add up to 180. 60 plus 60 is 120. So these are, in fact, not parallel because same side interior angle theorem doesn't work. Right? Okay. Alright, so that's really as simple as this whole section is going to get. You need to be able to tell me, are they parallel? Do we not know? Or are they not parallel? Okay, so I'm going to give you 6 of them to do on your own. If you haven't got this down, make sure you get it down because you're definitely going to need that. Okie dokie. Alright, we're going to do 6. Remember, it's going to be the exact same diagram for all of them. You're telling me parallel, not parallel, or inconclusive. I'm going to be lazy and not draw the arrows. All right, go ahead and figure out, are they parallel, not parallel, or inconclusive? And that's it for 19.3.